We actually are assessing people and say, that's one of the things when I was talking that I didn't really make clear to you folks. Ideally, down the line, we will be targeting certain individuals. We know by, a real quick fix is what's their age, what is the age when they committed their first crime, and how many crimes have they committed since that first one. If you know those three things, you can go 90% of the way of predicting whether somebody's going to come in and out that turnstile and eventually end up in prison. And those are the folks that you need to really, really target with reentry. And once you know who your population is, you can talk to the judges about not giving this person another chance to get out, that they need to be in where we can work on some of these programs with them, that you're not doing them any favors at all by giving them one more chance to go out and do some community service and get away. That you need to incarcerate them for a while so that they can be involved in the programs. And even though we can't force them into the programs, the judge certainly can say, once you've completed the drug and alcohol program that Bert Nash has, once you've earned your high school diploma, and once you've gone through Mike Caron's Stinking Thinking class, I will let you get into the work release program and go out and work in the community during the day and come back to the jail at night. And if you do that well for 3 months, then we'll put you back on the street. That's just an example. But if the judge knows what specific programs they need, we've done the assessments and know. You can get cooperation among the different parties to do the things that are necessary. And not most of the people are going to do that. They're not so hard-headed that they're just going to sit in jail and do nothing with their time. If they can be out of the cell and out of the pod and taking a class, often a class with females, when that's the only time they're going to get to see females. And I don't care if that's why they initially sign up for a program, is that there's, KU does a music therapy class on Monday mornings. And I have a different pod that goes there each time. And I know half those guys come out because there's a cute young co-ed from KU who's doing the program, and another cute young co-ed that's a graduate student that's evaluating the program. So there's 2 women in there. Yeah, everybody wants in the class, and it's limited to 8. But they get in there, and they really do get into it once they're there, and they go back to their pod. And the officers all notice that those 8 guys are a whole lot less stressed out than they were before, and at least for 24 hours or so, they're, even the ones that were real pains in the way they behaved in the pod, at least for a day, they're not stressed out, so they're not stressing the officers out, and it makes the institution run more smoothly. So there's those kinds of programs. Music therapy, I used to have an art therapy program going until she had the audacity to get a paying job in a California prison instead of volunteering here, and so she's gone. And I think I've got another one coming in. And we've had yoga classes there. I catch a lot of static about running a country club over there because I've got art therapy and music therapy and yoga. And a writing program. Brian Daldorf does a great writing program that it has for the last 7 years. When the guys get in, and it's mostly a poetry class, but when they get in there, Brian says he hasn't got a single class at KU, no matter how talented they are, that come out with the amazing stuff that these folks do in the writing class. It is an outlet to really do some self-assessment and get off things that are really, really burning inside you, to be able to write it down. So all these things are very unlikely to be a key factor in whether you come back into jail or not. Some can help you to begin to have some insights to get you into other programs that you really need. But for the most part, it's just short-term stress relief, but it really makes a difference in the humanity of the place and how the officers can manage the pod. Excuse me. You don't have any water. All of a sudden, I'm getting a tickle.
We're going to get you some water. There's Parker Snake. We're the best men around. Make sure you guys say hi to Parker at the end of the day here. Give him a hug in his gray suit. To leapfrog off of Jake's question, so let's say, because there's so much misunderstanding and misinformation, sometimes on purpose within our society, and especially in this segment of, for example, Jake is an inmate. he's in your stinking thinking class. Okay? So he wakes up at, what would like a normal day be then for Jake as an inmate? If he's in a stinking thinking class and maybe he's in there for whatever reason, but what would like a normal day be for an inmate?
Okay. We have enough programs going that most of the inmates, if they're motivated, and most of them are involved in at least 1 or 2 programs every day. You know, whether it's a Bible study or going to the learning lab or going to writing class. Thank you very much. The job readiness. You know, there's a lot of things going on every day in every pod. When I mention pods, I should explain. Douglas County Jail and a growing number of jails around the country are direct supervision. That is, they don't really fit the stereotypes you have of a lot of bars with a room full of inmates in there, and whoever's the biggest gorilla runs the roost. You know, they're the bulldog of the tank and that kind of crap. The whole idea is 1 man per room, and have them out of that room as often as possible, involved in programs, involved in activities. Keep them busy, give them very little time to be constantly thinking about how they can make the life of the officer miserable, because that officer in the uniform is the emblem of authority. You're miserable at yourself, you're miserable at your family, you're miserable at the court system, you're miserable at the attorney that hasn't come up to see you. But the only person you've got access to is that guy in a uniform. And if you can make his life miserable, you've gotten a little bit of payback on the world that you think is treating you unfair. So that officer gets a whole lot of crap from a whole lot of inmates. And if the inmates are busy and occupied, they haven't got a whole lot of time to study what in particular pushes the buttons of that officer. So for good management of any correctional facility, the more you can keep the inmates out and busy with things, the better everybody's life is going to be. Suicides are much more common in jails than they are in prison. Think about it. When you first go into jail, for a lot of people, it's your first time you've ever had something like that happen. A lot of people are convinced that life is over. Sometimes the family is practicing tough love, and they say, well, you hate your wife, you're in there for domestic violence, I don't want anything to do with it again. You've embarrassed me and our whole family, and I don't want to ever see you again. You know, there's a lot of things that are said in the heat, passion of when things first happen. A lot of times you get one charge, and then all of a sudden, bang, 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 there's other charges. Just the way the criminal justice system works, tends to be a whole lot of other charges that come along. People that aren't used to that system think, oh my God, my life is over. If you look at suicide rates, they are much higher for those first-time offenders who are in a jail situation. So if the inmates are out and the officers are interacting with them, and you know what's going on with that inmate, when they start to show signs of suicide, you're going to pick up on that a lot sooner. If you've got them in programs, people in programs who know how they behave and so on are going to pick up on that a lot sooner. Inmates very often don't want to talk to somebody in uniform, so they will talk to somebody that's coming in for an AA meeting or somebody that's coming in for a Bible study. It's very common for somebody to hold back at the end of the class and talk with them one-on-one about their issues. If you're talking one-on-one to an officer, everybody else in the room is convinced you're snitching about something that they did. And so it's a danger for you to talk one-on-one. So for suicide prevention, it's really important to have direct supervision. It really, really aids in that. And we haven't yet had a successful suicide at Douglas County Jail. We have had several that came incredibly close. But so far, I'd knock on wood if I could find any. We've been lucky on that.
So I understand there's multiple programs that inmates can choose, but like from the second they wake up to the second they go to bed, what do they do? Like their whole schedule for the day. Like what do they?
There's a lot of people that sit at each of the pods. If you're in maximum custody, you get big sliding metal doors. It's all concrete. All the tables are bolted to the floor. The seats are bolted to the table. It's pretty austere and